Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Glow podcast. I am here today with a very exciting guest. I have Sanjay from WeThrivv, and I'm super excited to speak with him. But for those of you who are new here, we are Tailored Marketing, and we partner with organizations in aesthetics, wellness, and health space to fuel growth through strategic marketing and sales strategies. So if you are interested, drop a comment below. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm super, super excited to speak with you. If you would, I would love if you would just go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction so the listeners know who you are.
Well, thank you very much, Taylor. My name is Sanjay Batra. By way of background, I have a PhD in physiology, so I'm a scientist. Grew up in Canada. That's where I completed my PhD. And then I lived abroad. I lived in Japan and Switzerland. And for the last
Cool.
30 plus years, I've lived in the United States working in healthcare,
Awesome.
biotechs, startups, pharmaceutical. And for the last 15 years, I've been a pure play CEO entrepreneur, looking at innovation and new technology in aesthetics, dermatology, and hair loss.
Awesome. Super, super cool. Yeah, I didn't realize you had lived so many places. That's super cool. And also working in the aesthetic space, I'm sure, for, as you said, 15 years, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it evolve a lot over the past 15 years because I feel like there's been so much new technology over even just like the last like 5 to 8 years or so. And so I know that you have a new technology as well that your company WeThrive has created. And so I would love for you to talk just kind of a little bit more to what brought you to this technology of Juvasonic and explain like a little bit more about what it is as well.
So thank you, Taylor. We launched Juvasonic 6 months ago, but for the 2 or 3 years prior to that, I was looking at an innovative way to deliver into the skin without a needle. And the reason we felt that was important was that in the setting of surgery and aesthetics, more procedures were becoming less invasive. Plastic surgeons weren't cutting as much as they were injecting, and they were injecting fillers and toxins and stimulators, but those injections are actually quite painful.
Yeah.
So we liked the idea of finding a way to deliver without a needle. At the same time, Taylor, the industry was burgeoning with interest in exosomes and even PDRN. It's
Yeah.
actually illegal to inject an exosome. It's
Okay.
illegal. It's not a question of on or off label. There's no label for exosomes. The exosome companies pivoted to being topical cosmetics. And that's why Juvasonic came in as a way to enhance topical absorption of virtually any active. And that's what we've had the pleasure of seeing and witnessing over the last 6 months of our launch.
That's super, super cool. And it's awesome too because like a lot of people I do think are, including myself, honestly, like a little bit intimidated by needles, like it's a natural human reaction. Like, nobody wants something sharp and long going into them if it can be avoided. And so that's go
That
ahead.
that applies, by the way, to all ages,
Yeah.
all ethnicities, and men and women, from little kids to adults. No one really likes needles. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's not like anyone's like, oh, like, I mean, you might be excited to go to your aesthetic professional or the med spa because you're excited for the treatment, but you're not excited if, like, you're getting Botox necessarily because you know that that involves a needle. And so that's super, super cool. And I love too that it's so versatile. So I know you spoke a little bit to the aspects of exosomes, but what else can you use it for anyone who is out there and curious?
So, my background is in something called platelet rich plasma. PRP comes from your own blood. It's prepared at the patient point of care and given back to the patient. So, it's autologous from you back to you. I started looking at technologies to deliver platelet rich plasma. And then we evolved and started looking at growth factors and peptides, and then ultimately exosomes and something called PDRN. The
Okay.
science of PDRN is actually quite interesting. It got a good or a bad media buzz from Aniston and
Okay.
Kim Kardashian. It's also called the sperm facial,
Okay.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
We also can deliver PDRN with Juvasonic. So those are the technologies we've looked at.
Awesome. That's super, super cool. And so right now it's going where you guys are selling to like med spas, estheticians, that type of thing, and then they're using it on their patients, correct?
Correct. It's a
Yeah.
professional product.
Yeah. That's super, super cool. And do y'all make anything else or is that primarily the product right now that you're marketing?
Yeah, so it's the product. I'm holding it in my hand, and it has a disposable cartridge. This cartridge can be filled with the product of the esthetician or the professional's choice, and it's single-use disposable. So we sell cartridges in different sizes and the actual handheld device.
That's super cool. And so you said it's been on the market now for about 6 months?
We launched April 1st.
That's super cool. That's exciting. And so, what kind of response have you gotten from your estheticians, nurse practitioners, other practitioners within the industry?
Yeah, so prior to April 1st, we were assembling the boxes in my basement. If you look at my old LinkedIn post, you'll see my pool table, which is right there. And my kids and I are like literally putting the boxes together. And so, probably I would say the first order came in February, the
Okay.
middle of February. And I started handing it out to some of our friends, a couple of plastic surgeons, dermatologists, estheticians. And
Yeah.
I just saw the look in their eye that this would be something quite special. So when we launched on April 1st, I had already placed the second order for more product because I knew this would address a pretty large unmet need. So
Yeah.
the feedback has been great. You know, there are always things that you want to adjust and improve. There's a
Of
process
course.
of continuous improvement, but we're overwhelmed and actually a bit humbled by the feedback from our customers.
That's super awesome. And is there anything else like it out there on the market right now? Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so there are other ways to deliver. Microneedling is very popular. We actually like microneedling. We think it can be used in combination with Juvasonic. Then there are devices that put some energy or charge on the skin, something called iontophoresis or electroporation. There's also ultrasound. Actually, what I learned in this process comes from a lot of frustration. We looked at ultrasound and these electrical energy systems, and what we found, it's interesting, Taylor, is that God and evolution created us to be waterproof for a reason.
Yeah.
And the outer layer of the skin is called the skin barrier, the stratum corneum. So when you charge it or put energy or cold, your body shuts down. Juvasonic works on a completely different and simple mechanism around vibration
Okay.
and dermabrasion. So it's very unique in its way. There are other technologies. I'm not saying it's the only way to deliver or enhance topical absorption, but we found something quite unique. And, you know, I've already filed 2 patents on it, and we're looking at other intellectual property to support and enhance this technology.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, so it's there's obviously like you said other mechanisms out there, but this is kind of the first of its kind with the technology. And that's really really cool. That's super
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. At the same time, I'll say there's nothing new under the sun. You know, people were looking at dermabrasion, they were looking at other ways to open up the stratum corneum. It's the unique combination here. And I'll turn the device on, you'll see it. You may hear it. It's
Okay.
vibrating. You can also enhance it with red light or blue light, and it's totally pain free. I'm putting it on my scalp. I can deliver into my scalp whatever ingredient I want. And rather than a painful needle, it feels like a massage.
That's so nice. Yeah, cuz I mean, again, going back to the needles, it they do a great job, of course. Like with microneedling, with any type of injections, but like you're it's nice like if one day you're like, "You know what? I don't want that." So, it's nice to be able to have another option or if somebody even has like a phobia of needles or something like that, then they wouldn't have to go through that process, which is super super cool.
That's
And
exactly right. You know, I'll share a funny story. I have a lab, and a lot of my guy friends are losing hair. I mean,
yeah.
85% of men have hair thinning, and it starts young. I mean, people can start losing hair in their teens or 20s. So I have a friend of mine who's like an MMA fighter. The guy is built like incredible shape. So he's bugging me to come to the lab. I bring my med tech and we're going to give him a little bit of a hair injection, a little treatment in his scalp.
Yeah.
The first needle touches his scalp and he started crying. He
Oh my
grabbed my
God.
medical tech's hand. He couldn't handle it. And it just goes to show you that the bigger you are, the harder you can fall. It's
Yeah.
really an issue with pain,
Yeah, no, for
especially the
sure.
scalp.
Well, and yeah, no, definitely. Well, and then the thing is too, I think like recently I was talking to somebody and we were talking about how hair loss is at like an all-time high as well for obviously men, but then also even for women as well because it was an effect that a lot of people got from COVID. And so with like the rise of COVID, this rise of like early hair loss almost is happening among not just men now, but also women even.
COVID, pregnancy, and menopause are all
Yeah.
triggers for hair loss.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things too that like women are going through. And then exosomes is one of obviously like the new things with hair loss too. And then other mechanisms as well too. But that's super, super cool because like you said too, the scalp is a place that needles. I don't think I would want that, honest. That would not be comfortable. Yeah. And so with Juvasonic and WeThrivv as well, what are kind of your goals over the next year or two? What are y'all really focused on right now?
Well, we're really enjoying the trajectory that Juvasonic has given us. We're expanding to new markets. I have a distributor in Canada, recently signed one in Australia, looking at markets all over Europe, Latin America, and Asia. So we're excited to see the trajectory inside and outside of the United States. I'm also looking at innovation. At the end of the day, Taylor, I'm an innovator. If someone said, Sanjay, here's a device and I want you to make one just like it, but make it cheaper, I would
Yeah.
have no interest in that whatsoever. It would be a complete waste of my time. So, our idea is to take technology, make it better, make it best in class. And that's exactly what we did with Juvasonic.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and that's cool too because it gives you opportunities like okay there's say like just one issue like there's a lot of hair loss going on, it's like okay what's another way that we can innovate and help people with this issue. And so it's not just like you said, you don't want to make it cheaper, but it's like okay what's another way we can do this, what's new, what's innovative, what's going on right now in the market.
Well, 3 years ago, I launched my first product for hair loss called Revive. It's spelled REVIVV, two V's at the end.
Okay.
And the reason I created that product is I started losing my hair myself about 12 years ago. I'm 62 now. I was 50. I was in the gym and I realized I was losing my hair. And then I looked at what products the FDA had approved. Minoxidil and finasteride, basically they're poison. They have so many side effects that, I would never use either of them on my own head. So we
Yeah.
created a drug-free, botanical, all-natural topical serum called Revive. And that's what really got me interested. Now, Revive, you can apply it every day topically, but what about exosomes? How do you deliver exosomes? What about PDRN? How do you deliver that? And that got us on the journey to create Juvasonic.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. And so with exosomes too, like we talked a little bit about like using them topically as well. Is it not as effective if you're using it topically as if you're using something like Juvasonic?
Well, the gold standard is injection. If you want to inject a volume of product into the deep dermis, the gold standard is injection. We certainly don't discount that. The question is it's illegal to inject exosomes, so you have to apply them
Yeah.
topically. When you apply them topically, they generally just sit on your skin and don't get to the deeper dermis where they need to get in order to be effective. What Juvasonic does is it creates about a 10 or 15-minute window where the stratum corneum is opened up a little bit and the topical absorption can be enhanced. So that's why we think Juvasonic is an ideal adjunct for topical products.
Okay. Cool. That totally makes sense. That's super, super awesome. And we talked like a little bit about innovation as well, just within the industry and everything, and also with you and your company and kind of looking at new innovation. Is there anything right now where you're just like, wow, I'm super, super excited about this, besides Juvasonic, or any innovations that you're looking at for the future for WeThrive?
Yeah, I would say for me, the intersection comes with aesthetics and skin and hair for sure. So that's the area, the domain that we focus in. And then beyond that, I'm interested in longevity and
Yeah.
artificial intelligence. I mean, it's not new. This is not
Yeah.
just me. This is many, many people much smarter than me with much deeper pockets than me
Yeah.
exploring artificial intelligence and longevity. But I think we can do something very unique here where you might go to your doctor or dentist every 6 months. You may at some point have something more than a smartwatch that gives you feedback when you go to the gym, but something that's monitoring and tracking your cellular health, your muscle mass, your day-to-day improvements as you go. And I think that for me is really interesting to harness this idea of continual feedback loops to live a healthier life and improve something called health span. So lifespan is how long you live. Health span is how long you live healthy, devoid of major sickness, major disease. And for me, the goal is to enhance health span. So if I live till 90, I'd like to be healthy until 89 and 10 months, you know? That's
Yeah.
the interesting thing.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a really interesting field as well, just like the longevity and like anti-aging space and everything. And I think that there's so much learning in that area too, because it's still relatively new. And it is interesting too, as well, within that space, how people are defining different things. And it's like, okay, we don't want to just increase our lifespan. Like you were saying, let's increase the amount of time that we're able to backpack across Europe, or, do whatever, do the things that actually make you feel alive, like not just sitting in a chair or sitting in bed and like just living, but it's like, okay, doing things that make you feel alive for as long as you can.
Exactly right. I'll tell you, having had a parent pass away and a mother-in-law pass away, both in the last year, the one thing that I learned that is so important is the simple ability to stand from a
Yeah.
seated position. And many people, as they advance in age, can't stand and they can't get up by themselves. And if you can't get up by yourself, you're not ambulatory. And that leads to a plethora of other things that can bring down your health. So for me, I kid you not, every day I practice sitting in a squat position and standing up. In the gym, I'm always doing things that allow me to stand because
Yeah.
if you fall, you want to be able to get back up. I'm telling you, there's this old commercial from the 90s or 90s, probably as old as you are, Taylor. The lady falls and she says, I've fallen and I can't get up. But I think about that every day.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is so important when you start getting older. It's like just keeping up your basic strength, You don't have to like be going to the gym and lifting like 100 pounds or whatever, but it's just like your basic strength of really like your body weight stuff as well too.
And just the ability to stand up. My mom is 87 years old. She can stand up and get around and walk. And for me, that gives me great comfort. Now, we're worried that if she were to fall, how would she be able to stand up? And she currently can't get up if she were on the ground by herself. So that's where you want to provide support. But when you're still younger, this is the time to be training your body to be as flexible as possible, as strong as possible. And things like grip strength. Believe it or not, the simple ability to hold on to something becomes important because you might
Yeah.
be holding on to a walker or a railing. And if you don't have grip strength, it increases the chance that you're going to fall.
Yeah, no, for sure. That totally makes sense. And so, with like you being so interested in innovation, like what do you think fuels that interest for you? Like, is it the interest in like helping other people, or just like, do you just love like building new things and kind of like seeing those come to fruition?
I think it's a combination of being formally trained as a scientist. My
Yeah.
dad was a PhD scientist, so it runs in our family, I think.
Yeah.
My daughter's currently applying to medical school and she's worked in our lab extensively. So I think it's having this innate curiosity that fuels it and then wanting to create answers and solutions to problems and not just relying on what's already out there.
Yeah.
How and why can't we make things better? For me, that is sort of the ethos under which I live.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really cool model too, because it's like, okay, let's not just rely on what's already there, but like, what else can I add to what's there?
Yeah, and don't always just ask why not, and why not in a way to make the why and solve the problem.
Yeah, it's just like an innate curiosity almost of like, okay, what else can we do? How far can we push the limits, kind of?
Exactly. And I'll tell you, as we're ending this call, sort of as we started, you're exactly right. In the five last years or so, we've seen a lot of innovation in aesthetics and skin. And I'm telling you, it's just beginning, especially with the introduction of regenerative products,
Yeah.
things that biostimulate your skin, your scalp, that are more natural. You don't look filled or frozen. It's just the early era and early days of regenerative aesthetics.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I think the part of regenerative medicine, regenerative aesthetics, there is so much potential with that field and like just what we can do and what we can innovate. And it's really, really cool too. Like you said, it's making you look really natural, like just like more like yourself. You don't, it's taking out like, when you saw people who were overfilled or like just you're like, okay, they have way too much Botox, like their forehead's not moving at all. And it's making people look really natural and just like themselves.
Yeah, exactly right. A slightly fresher, more youthful version of yourself. That's where beauty is, in my opinion. If I could look like I did a year ago, or a little bit younger, sort of
Yeah.
rewinding the clock. I mean, that for me is beauty. You bring out beauty in everyone.
Yeah, no, for sure. I completely agree. We'll let everyone know what is the best place to find you and what is the best place to find Juvasonic as well if they're interested in learning more. And I will also put all the links in the show notes for easy access.
Taylor, thank you very much for this time and this opportunity. You can find out about Juvasonic by going simply to the website. It's one of the first products I've created that's easy to spell. It's simply juvasonic.com, juvasonic.com. And please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active. I post on regenerative aesthetics, I post on work in our lab, and occasionally I share personal stories. So LinkedIn is another easy way to get a hold of me. And lastly, if you want to reach me directly, no surprise, my email address is sanjay@juvasonic.com. Sanjay@juvasonic.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming on, Sanjay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.